Simple. The food chain. You see, on top there's Don Lino.
Right.
There's me. And there's regular fish.
Oh, that's me.
No. There's plankton. There's single-cell amoebas.
Oh, then there's me.
I'm getting there. There's coral. There's rocks. There's whale poo. And then there's you.
That's messed up.
So if Don Lino's squeezing me, he's squeezing you!
I make one Super League predictions video. Just one. First game, second game, third game, fourth game, fifth game, all one. Nothing out of the ordinary. And I get to probably the most dead set of all the predictions. And that's the winless Wakefield Trinity taking on the Leeds Rhinos. Granted, the Leeds Rhinos weren't on great form, but had still beaten Saints. They'd beaten Wigan. They put up a good performance against Wigan again in the Challenge Cup. They'd beaten Catalans. Playing against the winless Wakefield Trinity, and they balls it up. You couldn't write it, could you? So, starting this Super League week off with Hull FC at home against St Helens. In terms of form, Hull FC have won 3 in the last 5, Saints have won 4 in the last 5. In terms of stats areas that they lead in, Hull leads in missed tackles, Saints lead in yellow cards. Now, both these teams have been on really good form in the last couple of weeks. Of course, Saints on better form at the moment. The thing with Hull FC is, yes, they've beaten teams that you wouldn't expect them to beat. They have still been struggling in the way of errors. Field possession has been difficult for them. But coming up against St Helens, who are brilliant when it comes to controlling games, they know how to score for fun, and they defend really, really well. I think Hull can put some points on the board, but I think ultimately this is going to be a pretty strong win for Saints. I don't think it's going to be like a massive blowout, because I think Hull will be able to at least retain some dignity, because they'll have so much confidence going into this game. But I think Saints will just overall have too much in the forward pack. The spine will be too strong, kicking game will be too strong. They'll find weaknesses in Hull's defence. They'll have too much field position. They'll wear them down and eventually keep scoring. They might make it close in the first half, and then Saints will run away with it. One half or the other, Saints will run away with it. So I'm going to take Hull FC 12, St Helens 32. Next up, we have the Leeds Rhinos at home against Huddersfield Giants. In terms of form, they both have 1 win in the last 5. In terms of stats areas that they lead in, Leeds lead in offloads, 40-20s and red cards, and Huddersfield leads in attacking kicks and kicks in general play. Now, in terms of last week's performances, they both lost, but one was significantly worse than the other. Wonder if you can guess which one that is. So, I do think Huddersfield showed that in terms of their attack, they know how to score points. They put up 26 points last week against Warrington, who have been a bit shaky defensively anyway, but they still created a lot of opportunities. They did let in pretty high number of points, but I do think in terms of squad availability, depth, performances, even though the form has been the same, performance-wise, Huddersfield has been better. So I think it's fair to lean towards Huddersfield. I think Leeds' confidence may actually be shot. You know, you don't want to be the first team to lose to a winless team, and that can maybe hit you a little bit more than, say, just getting battered. You can kind of bounce back because it happens. And I know that, you know, a winless team is going to win at some point, but Leeds are just already in a slump, and then to lose to last place is just a huge kick in the bollocks, basically. So I think Huddersfield should be really confident going into this. So I'm going to take Leeds 18, Huddersfield 30. Next up, we have Hull Kingston Rovers at home against Wakefield Trinity. Both have won 1 in the last 5. Well done, Wakefield. In terms of stats areas they lead in, Hull KR leads in dummy half runs, and Wakefield leads in marker tackles and total tackles. I think that there is going to be a huge amount of confidence that Wakefield will take into this game. They're still going to struggle against a really strong Hull KR team, but having said that, their form has been lacking severely. They have been playing a couple strong teams in there in those 5 games, but they'll have a bit of a lack of confidence. I think they're missing a few key players, so they will struggle more than normal, but I think they'll be fine. I think Wakefield will find ways to score. And they've kind of been banging on that door the last couple of weeks. Like, they've found ways to put just some more points on the board, restrict the number of points they concede. They've stayed in the game a little bit longer up towards half time. So I think Wakefield will find ways to score, but I think ultimately Hull KR will have a comfortable enough gap to just win this game. So I'm going to take Hull KR 28, Wakefield Trinity 14. Next up, we have Castleford Tigers at home against the Warrington Wolves. In terms of form, Castleford have won 1 in the last 5, and Warrington have won 3 in the last 5. In terms of top stats areas, Castleford lead in errors, but Warrington leads in average gain, clean breaks, and tackle busts. Now, defensively, Warrington were pretty poor, even though they won 30 points to 26, put up good numbers. Maybe could have been good for another 8 to 12 points, possibly, if some close decisions had gone our way, but ultimately we still put up 30 points but conceded 26, which is not very good. I do think we'll be good for a win. Form wise, confidence wise, I think we'll be fine. Confidence for the Castleford Tigers will be shot at this point, and they lead in errors. I was genuinely under the impression that we led in errors because we just make so many, but Castleford are right at the bottom and we're actually third best in the league for errors, which is incredibly surprising. But defensively, Warrington are a bit shaky, so Castleford will find ways to score. I've got no doubt about that, but I think Warrington know how to score for fun. They can do it on their day, but I think sometimes us going to Castleford is a bit of a tough task. Like, we find ways to make it difficult on ourselves, and Castleford do make it difficult from time to time, so I don't see a big win. I see a comfortable enough win, but nothing major, because I think Castleford will find ways to score and will find ways to struggle with the kicking game. So I'm going to go with Castleford 18, Warrington Wolves 26. Next up, we have the game of the week. Catalans Dragons at home against Leigh Leopards. I cannot wait for this game. Both teams, 5 wins in the last 5. The stats areas that Catalans lead in tries, goals, and obviously points, and Leigh leads in metres. This is a tough one. This is a very tough one to pick. Both teams, a lot of confidence, great form. Catalans at home, weather could be boiling hot, so they might be used to the climate. But there's just, I don't know, there's an edge to Leigh at the minute. There's something about them. In terms of squad availability, I think they're both pretty much at full strength, I think. I'm expecting a big game from Arthur Morg, but an even bigger game from Lachlan Lamb. I don't know. I know where I want to lean, but this could easily go either way. But I'm going to take a punt on this one. There's not much else to say. These are two really, really good teams. But I'm actually going to take Catalans 20, Leigh 22. Finally, for round 16 of Super League, we have the Salford Red Devils at home against the Wigan Warriors. In terms of form, Salford have won 4 in the last 5, Wigan have only won 1 in the last 5. In terms of leading stats areas, Salford lead in drop goals, carries and penalty kicks, whereas Wigan leads in missed goals. Using those stats, I kind of have an idea of how this is going to go. I think Wigan will put more tries on the board, but their conversions will be the death of them, let's say. Salford, however, I think they'll score less tries, but they'll have more penalties in the game, which they will take. Mark Sneed loves a penalty kick. So I kind of see this being won on the kicking game alone. I think Salford's confidence and their form has been really good the last few weeks. Wigan have been incredibly vulnerable, even with the strength of their squad. They've been losing games that they probably shouldn't have done, even though, yes, I expected them to lose to Saints, which was understandable. They've still been too vulnerable and they've not been good enough. So I think they still have enough to make it competitive against Salford, but I think based on the stats areas that they lead in, it's the conversions that's going to do it. So I think Salford 18, Wigan 14 is probably a decent prediction. So that is going to be it for this video. If you have any predictions for round 16 of Super League, let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know how you got on last week if you placed any bets. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.